Hey Connor, Coach Brandon here, and today we'll go ahead and look at a few of the videos that you sent over. Kind of low quality here, that's my bad. I'm currently at my home, not the best Wi-Fi, but we'll go ahead and look at these things. So starting off with, actually, we'll go with a conventional. Oh shit! Okay, I deleted it. That's fun. Okay, let me re-download it real quick. And come on. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and preface this with a little lecture real quick. When it comes to the deadlift setup, it's really important that we are working for every single inch. You will notice that when elite level deadlifters, when they start with their hips high, they hinge down, they grab the bar. From them bringing their hips into the bar and working for every inch and building tension, you'll notice, for one, it takes them a really long time. Two, it weirdly looks like the hardest part of a deadlift. They work their ass off to actually build the tension. And three, they're in a better position for it. Now, a lot of individuals, the biggest mistake people make when they build tension is they just kind of passively go down to another spot, go down to where they want to begin. They just kind of squat down real quick and go. But that's not necessarily the purpose. Otherwise, we can just start from that spot. What we need to do is start with our hips high and work to get into position. You'll end up getting a better position if you do it correctly. Tension will come on the bar, reduce range of motion, and better muscle engagement. But what the one mistake we're making right now is that we're just kind of passively squatting down and then going up. And I'll go ahead and send you a good conventional deadlift video we recently did. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that it should be hard work to get in position. The hardest part of a deadlift should be the tension building portion. So what I'd like you to do with your conventional deadlift is start with your hips high. The first thing you do before you build tension, well, the first thing you do is brace, pull the barbell in, engage your lats. But the first thing you do before you even bring your hips any closer and build tension is press your feet through the floor. And if you weren't grabbing the barbell while you press your feet to the floor, you would jump up. That's how hard you're pressing through the floor, as hard as you can. And immediately you'll see the bar go from here to here. And then as you build tension, you're pulling your hips closer and closer to load, pulling your chest up, and then you'll see the bar go in from here when you immediately press your feet in the floor. That's going into bend. The weight starts to come up, and then you fire up. And that's really what I want to see out of you, because right now we're leaving some poundage on the table by being a little more passive with our setup. So what I'm actually talking about here, I'll show you in the video here. You'll notice we just squat into it and then come, and this is a really common way of setting up. Squat into it and come up. And that's not going to help us much. And you'll notice there's not much bar bend. It just kind of change position real quick. So I really want to work on with you just getting better at the tension building portion. I think that with your kind of build, we're leaving a lot of poundage on the table, and we can really hit some really impressive numbers with you, especially because you have a build that I think could do really well with deadlift. But at the same time, we just have to be more like intentful and understand how to take slack out of the bar. And once we improve on that, I mean, the sky's the limit. Numbers are going to shoot up and strength along with it. But positionally, spine staying neutral. You're finishing strong. Movement looks good. So realistically, nothing's going atrociously bad. No rounding in the spine, so that's really good. I just say a little better at tension building, and like I said, things are going to soar. Looking at the next video here, your squats. So right now, I would say that I would venture to say that your squat's probably your best lift next to your sumo. It looks really, really good. I like what I'm seeing. Yeah, not a whole lot to note. It looks good. It looks like you're getting strong positions. Long term, I would suggest that you start to fiddle around with having a lower barbell position. Most people, about 95% of people, so almost everybody, actually is stronger in a low bar position, especially when it comes to your build. When it comes to people with your build, that 95% number goes to like 99%. People with your build excel usually in a lower barbell position, a low bar squat. And you also notice that it'll engage your posterior chain a little bit more. So something to fiddle around with. Right now you have a very high bar position. But I think in terms of putting more pounds on the bar, getting stronger, and getting more out of your posterior, I think changing to a little lower bar position is going to be really beneficial for you, getting the bar closer to your rear delts on your setup. But at the same time, it's going to take some time to get used to. It's going to feel a little funky at first, and it's a lot of shoulder external rotation requirements. So you might have to work on mobility a little bit too, but just something to think about in the future. I definitely fit around with it and see how it feels. For me, it felt really weird at first when I went from high bar to low bar, but within a few months, once my body adapted, I put on just a ton on my squat from doing that. So just something to think about. A lot of my clients have done that to great success. Last video we'll go over is sumo. So conventional was your deadlift primary, but I'm starting to think that sumo might be more of your forte. You're built well. You're built in a way where you can do sumo or conventional to great success. You have a good deadlift build, but at the same time, your sumo is looking very natural. There's only one thing I want to clean up a little bit to greatly improve the load in which you can handle, but at the same time, it's looking extremely natural. You're finishing really strong at the top. No soft knee lockout, which is probably one of your last issues with conventional deadlift, is we're locking out with a little bit of soft knee. At the same time, getting better at the setup is going to help with that, so don't worry about that for now. But sumo, you're killing it. It's looking really, really nice. The one thing I want to change, though, we'll actually see in the video here, is your knee position. Like I said, really strong finish. You're moving heavier weights. Now, what I want us to do, though, is you'll notice your knees are pretty much straight forward. When we go, when we go to build tension in sumo deadlift, we actually want our knees to go to plates. That's a really good cue for most people, is as you're building tension, your knees should get wider and wider and wider towards the actual plates. And then by doing that, your hips get closer and closer to the load. And this puts you in a more advantageous position, and it helps to create more tension. So something to fiddle around with. What I want you to do is start with your hips high, similar to how you would with conventional or any deadlift variation where you're trying to build tension, take the slack out. And then as you bring them, as you're going to build tension, chest up, hips in, all that good stuff, take those knees out. You'll be able to get a few more inches closer to the load with your hips, and you'll be in a much more advantageous position. So something to think about, just the knees out cue as you're setting up is going to be extremely beneficial. It's going to feel a little funky at first, but it also might help a little bit to take your stance and point your toes just a little further out. I'll help to facilitate that cue a little better. But again, something to think about, fiddle around with. Go ahead and send me a few videos next week. I'd love to see it. But yeah, if you have any questions for me whatsoever, let me know. I'm going to shoot you over that conventional deadlift video along with your update.